My name is Paula Withrow, and I'm here to talk about a trip I made in Christmas of 1972 to Vietnam. I'm not trying in any way to diminish or to cover the conflict in Vietnam, the war we call the Vietnam War. What I want to do is give a perspective through the experiences of a 22-year-old military dependent, also known as an Army brat, who was one of the few offspring who was permitted to go to Vietnam. So how did it come about? My senior year in high school, my father was stationed in Vietnam, and the only way we could communicate was through audio recordings. So the next time he was ordered to Vietnam, my mother wanted to live closer to him. So we moved to Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines. The trip I took to Vietnam started with a travel to Travis Air Force Base in California, and then from there to Clark Air Force Base aboard a C-5, which was a cargo passenger airplane with the cargo and tanks on the bottom and the passengers on the top. A few days after I arrived at Clark Air Force Base and after I got over the jet lag, it was time for my mother, my sister, and I to go to Vietnam. We traveled in a plane known as a Scatback from Clark Air Force Base to Saigon Vinh Long, or to Saigon's Tan Son Nhut Air Base. From there we were going to go to Vinh Long Province, which was in the southern Mekong Delta. When we deplaned in Tan Son Nhut Air Base, we were told that we had a helicopter available for us. Up to that point, my mother had been telling me over and over that when we get to Saigon, just be happy that we're going to be traveling to Vinh Long by road, that it was much safer to go by road. And here I am being told we were going to go by helicopter. So I envisioned the character with their arms and legs on either side of a doorway trying to avoid getting in. We flew on a Huey from Saigon to Vinh Long, and below you could see gunfire. You could see the smoke from fire, but you couldn't hear it over the sound of the helicopter. My father lived in a French-era home there, which was housing staff and CIA agents. And each night, I would make up my cot in my bedroom and sleep under it because I was so afraid we'd be invaded, and I didn't want anyone to know that I was staying there. And years later, I found out my sister did the same thing. I could hear the gunfire off and on during the hours of the night. My father would tell me that even though it sounded as if it was in the compound, it was really miles away. It's just that the sound traveled. Some of the things that we did while we were in Vietnam, we had a Christmas party for the staff families, lots of gifts, lots of Vietnamese food. We also visited a local veterans hospital, and through an interpreter, we're able to talk to some of the veterans. We visited the Good Shepherd Orphanage. We were overloaded with gifts, books from my grandmother's church in Massachusetts. They had collected a lot of things to take to this orphanage. The residents in both these places were really happy to see us. There were a lot of hugs. Everything was very upbeat. There was a surreal scene when we were on a boat and the chief of police was water skiing alongside us on the Mekong River, which later on when I saw the movie Apocalypse Now in 1979 reminded me of that situation. The boat trip took us to the home of the province advisor, and it was a spectacular place. It was a French villa on the outside and mother of pearl and black lacquer on the inside. Breathtaking place. While we were in Saigon, Hanoi was suffering from bombing, and there was a fear level about us traveling north to Saigon. This time we did go by road. We went in a Jeep, and we had to take a ferry. There was shooting off to the sides. One of our escort vehicles had to take off and head to that direction. We had communication issues with the Jeeps that were going along with us, and in Saigon I broke my toe. The driver had put on the brakes to avoid hitting a bicyclist, and I slid from the back seat to the front seat and hit an ammo box. When I look back on this trip years and years later, I'm amazed that I had that opportunity to go to Vietnam in the middle of what was a conflict. I worry about the people that I met, what happened to them, but I still think that that was one of my better Christmas experiences.